Hello, dear participants. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Online Academy, the second cycle. We are happy to have you here with us today on this holiday. And I know that the majority of you had probably a free day. So we're happy to welcome you to today's talk. And today we're going to talk about magical inversion. Before we move on to the magical inversion, however, I wanted to ask you some questions. Please feel free to reply in chat. I have my colleagues here with me today, and we are checking what you are trying to inform us about in the chat. So all the answers today are checked in the chat. Also, if you really want to say something, that also is going to be possible. And for that, you need to try to raise your hand digitally. And then if I manage to notice that you have raised your hand, I will try to give you a word. All right? Hello, everyone. It's great to see you sending hellos into the chat. Diana, good to see you. Tatiana, hello. Hello, guys. All right. The first question that I have to you today is to try and remember what you talked about in your last session, in your last talk with Paulina. You have a photograph in front of you. Maybe you will have some ideas after looking at this photograph. What kind of a myth did you discuss? Please send your answers into the chat. Thank you very much. I'm waiting for you to answer. What myth did you discuss in your previous talk with Paulina? Let's see what you remember, and if we have people from the last week here. What kind of a, I'm giving you a hint, what kind of a monster did you talk about? Yes, Maria Smirnova, absolutely. You talked about Nessie. That's great that you guys remember. Well, I have managed to find this wonderful photograph of a Loch Ness monster in on the internet today. And then the second question I have is the text, the myth appeared in the 6th century Anno Domini. You can see this word here on the slide. You will see focus on vocabulary title for the slide, and then you will see in the first line, you will see BC and AD acronyms. So if I say that this myth appeared in the 6th century AD or Anno Domini, what does it mean? Who knows? If you know, type in chat, please. Well, I didn't know you also talked about vampires. This is something new for me. That's interesting. So once again, the myth about Loch Ness or Nessie appeared or was born in the 6th century Anno Domini. I have one correct answer in chat, and this is yes, this means sorry, I'm experiencing some technical troubles. I'm trying to open the next slide. Yes, you are right. Anno Domini means after year 0. Although a lot of scientists today claim that there was no year 0, Anno Domini, or also called Common Era, is what we call Nasha Era. Then all the period in Christian religion, in Christianity before Jesus Christ was born is called BC, or before Christ. However, today there are many religions and many confessions in the world, not just Christianity. That is why a more common designation of Anno Domini today is CE, Common Era. And when we want to say before Christ or do нашей эры, quite often we say BCE, before Common Era. All right. I hope this makes sense for you. BC, before Christ. Yes, Anton, absolutely correct. All right, very well. Also, there was a wonderful phrase that about imagination that Nessie called for a lot of imagination. I don't want to say the word. My question now is, I have found some images for you. You can see a cage, you can see some sparkles here, you can see the stop sign and somebody kicking another person. And I want you to think about verbs that go together with the noun imagination. What can you do with imagination? Try to suggest your answers in chat. And these images are supposed to help you a little bit in finding good verbs that go together with the word imagination. Воображение. In Russian say воображение, фантазия, things like that. Okay, you have a couple of minutes to think about your answers. Alina, absolutely correct. One of the things that we can do with imagination is we can capture imagination. Yes, to capture imagination. Or to catch imagination, that was Yelizaveta, absolutely. Yes, Yelizaveta and Alina, I wonder what captures your imagination. That's interesting to find out. For me, these are probably stories about witches and Harry Potter and all this magical sorcerer stuff. Sofia, it's a very correct expression to have no imagination or to have no imagination at all. Some people do not, well, unfortunately. However, there is no prompt for this expression, but yes, good job, absolutely. So there are 3 more expressions with the word imagination that you need to try to guess. So the first image, a cage, is for the expression to capture imagination or to catch imagination. What about those wonderful little lights? What do they look like for you? Something about fire. By the way, we can say to fire imagination, разжигать чьё-то воображение. But those little sparkles are not about firing imagination. They are very much close, but not quite. Okay, we have an idea from Alina again to develop imagination. Yes, I guess you can say so. I will give you just another half a minute for you to think about this and to guess. So somebody is being kicked or given a stimulus, we can say that's a hint. And somebody's imagination is stopped, or somehow when somebody tries to do something with your imagination, what happens? What do you think? To strike imagination. No, unfortunately, that doesn't work. I'm very sorry. But that was a nice guess. I will count to 3 and then give you the answers. 1, Mississippi. 2, Mississippi. 3, Mississippi. Diana, to respond, I'm not quite sure that's possible. I'm afraid no. So if you look at the sparkles here, that look like vivid imagination. Yes, that's a nice one, Varvara, but that's not a verb plus imagination. To free imagination, Yelizaveta, or just a free, maybe you meant imagination. Quite possible, yeah. Okay, now the answers. The sparkles that you see to the right from the word imagination are, I hoped you would guess the expression to spark imagination, because these are sparkles. So to spark imagination. Another one with the sign stop. Maybe that was not a very good help for you. I was trying to convey the idea to limit imagination. For example, we can say that today a lot of visual media distracts children's attention from books, and not reading books limits children's imagination. Well, probably this is the first thing that came off the top of my head. And the last one, that was maybe not a very ethical way for the verb to stimulate. You can say to stimulate someone's imagination. To stimulate someone's imagination. There are many things that stimulate our imagination, I believe. So which expression do you like best? Can you type it in chat? Once again, there are capture your imagination, spark imagination, limit imagination, and stimulate imagination. You like stimulate. Okay, some people like capture, to capture imagination. Yeah, I love this, to spark imagination. For me, the word spark has something magical in it. And I like how the sparkles look, actually. All right. You are super active today. That's great. Thank you so much. Good. Let's move on. Another word that I thought I would draw your attention to is the word tantalize. In the article you discussed in the previous time, there was the word tantalize, and it was used in the sentence about the myth about Loch Ness creature keeps tantalizing people. So tantalize means to draw attention, again, to attract. And I need to say, probably my dog is going to start barking now. In this case, I will need to switch off my microphone for a moment. Please do not lose me, okay? I'm still here. Right, so the question that I have at this stage is, what tantalizes you? What kinds of dreams tantalize you? You can answer in the chat again. You can spark your imagination by the images that you see on this slide. What kind of dreams tantalize you? Diana, to find out what the word is, you need to look at the screen. Can you see the screen? That's interesting. To fly into space was one of the answers. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm on the same wavelength there. Everything related to space and being able to travel into space completely tantalizes me. All right. What about medicine for corona? Does that idea tantalize you? Because I heard a little bit about coronavirus today. Okay. Flying with your own wings. That's true. That's also quite interesting. Animal secrets. Okay. All right. Great. So that was a little focus on vocabulary for you to probably start using. I would be happy if you remember some of the expressions. Let's move on. I would like you to have a look at sorry, I need to return. And I will start to play again for you to be able to see the screen. Okay, lovely. I want you to please look at the following phrase. Is someone trying to draw something on the screen? I wonder if my colleagues can please maybe put that away. That's a little bit disturbing. Or have I done this myself? I might have done this. Okay, anyways, please look at the sentence. Charles Dickens started his literary career by writing for magazines. Indeed, his first novel, The Pickwick Papers, was serialized in a magazine before being published as a book. Only later did Dickens produce full novels to be published as complete books. Well, you can see Sir Charles Dickens on this slide to the left. That's a drawing, not his photograph, not his portrait. Obviously, there were maybe just daguerreotype, not a photo, not the cameras at that time. But what is important for us here is the sentence that is highlighted by bold, by the font in bold. Only later did Dickens produce full novels to be published as complete books. If you can notice that something strange in this sentence, that is great. If you can see a little bit of unusual grammar here, that means that you probably know grammar very well, but not well enough to see that this strange phenomenon, when we put auxiliary verb did before the subject in a sentence which is not a question, is called inversion. And I will talk about inversion in a little bit more detail now. So magical inversion. I don't know if you have any idea about what inversion is, but recently I went to the cinema, and my friend and me will watch the movie Tenet, or probably you know this movie by the Russian Russian title Довод. By the way, both in Russian and in English, these words, Tenet and Довод, are palindromes. So this is also very interesting. The idea is that in this movie, they had inverted processes. For example, they had inverted bullets that flew back into guns. Or when they moved invertedly, they moved backwards. And a lot of processes that were happening in this movie were inverted. However, in linguistics or in language, inversion is something a little bit different. It is much more easy to explain inversion here than in that movie, because in that movie, I couldn't make head or tail of what was going on, honestly. I felt like I needed a master's degree in physics before going and watching this film, actually. So I don't know, maybe if you like this movie, can you somehow send an emoji in a chat or saying by words that you probably, yeah, well, Alina is saying that she has heard so much about this movie. Yeah, well, this is supposed to be a good one by Christopher Nolan. I'm not sure about the age limit or any that if whether you're allowed already to watch it or not. So please check with parents or online. Anyways, inversion in language is the following. We have direct word order typically in the English language sentence. First goes the subject, then goes the verb. Подлежащее сказуемое. This is quite fixed for the English language. For example, I enjoy Christopher Nolan's films. Well, I thought so before, at least before I watched this Tenet movie. I loved the Inception movie with DiCaprio, as far as I remember. That was a nice one. So once again, this is a normal sentence. I enjoy Christopher Nolan's films. There is a direct word order. First subject, I, then verb, enjoy. However, sometimes for questions, not sometimes for questions, we use the inverted word order. That is when verb goes before subject. For example, what do you think about Nolan's films? We have auxiliary verb do as a verb here, and it goes before the subject you. What do you think about Nolan's films? So the normal sentence looks like this. Another example, he was late and didn't apologize. Sometimes we put the verb, however, before subject for one reason, to change the sentence and the way it sounds. Look at the example at the very bottom of the slide. Not only was he late, but he didn't even apologize. Not only was he late. So you can notice that the sentence at the bottom of the slide is inverted. It is not a question, it's a statement. However, what we have here is that the verb was goes before the subject. That is what is called an inverted sentence or inversion in the English language. Let's move on. Why use inversion? Why invert the sentence order? What do you think? Any ideas? Oh, you can already see it on the slide. Maybe you have your own options. Maybe you don't understand the word emphasis. If you have any ideas why people invert sentences, write it, type your answers in the chat. Like, for example, we can say they had never experienced such behavior. Они никогда не сталкивались с таким поведением. Or you can say, never had they experienced such behavior. С таким поведением ни разу в жизни они не сталкивались. In Russian, we would say it like that, maybe to convey a proper meaning. To increase the negative meaning is one of the answers by Alina in chat. Partly correct. Yes, Alina, to highlight the sentence, to make it sound stronger. Compare. Они никогда не сталкивались с таким поведением. And с таким поведением они не сталкивались никогда. Yes, absolutely. We want to make a focus in the sentence. We want to highlight and to make it stronger. In English, we say to make emphasis. Сделать акцент. All right. We very often see inversion in literature, in pop sci texts. I know one author, I already mentioned him in our previous talk when we talked about present perfect and past simple. I mentioned Konrad Lorenz, who was writing books about animals, quite interesting ones. And he was a big fan of inverted sentences. And sometimes inverted sentences sound super humorous. I mean, they are very funny. And this is something that gives color to the language, that when the language sounds, yes, more emotional, Елизавета, I agree with you. Yeah, it sounds more emotional. All right. So let's move on. I wonder if you're tired already. Hope not, because there's just there is a little more for you to remember here. We have two types of inversion. The first is the situation when we put auxiliary or modal verb before the subject. For example, only with a great deal of effort was he able to escape. We don't say only with a great deal of effort he was able to escape. That would be completely incorrect. It would be correct to say he was able to escape only with a great deal of effort. However, when we put the phrase only with a great deal of effort to the front of the sentence, we have to invert this the structure. Only with a great deal of effort was he able to escape. Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? This is the first type of inversion. So we put the auxiliary verb or a modal verb before the subject. However, there is another forgive me, I got distracted a little bit. I zoned out for a moment. There is another type of inversion. It is subject-verb inversion. What happens here is that the main verb is placed, strangely enough, but still before the subject. Not the auxiliary, not the modal, but the main verb. For example, all along one wall climbed a beautiful rose. Вдоль одной из стен вилась прекрасная роза. I have never seen roses climbing walls, but Well, okay, let's believe the author. Maybe it climbed. All right. Yes, you are absolutely correct when you're saying, you're definitely demonstrating a very good language knowledge when you say that such sentences sound more vivid and they sound more interesting and they capture our imagination, don't they? All right. There is a little bit of grammar here. You don't need to study it thoroughly, but you might want to pay attention to the phrases that call for inversion. For example, adverbs with negative meaning. Somebody today has already mentioned negative meaning today. You were absolutely right. So when we have adverbs with negative meaning, like hardly, scarcely, rarely, little, never, seldom, we are supposed to use inversion. Look at the first sentence here. Little did we realize the true extent of his involvement. Мы крайне мало понимали, насколько на самом деле он вовлечен. Maybe there is even a stronger translation into Russian here. Another case when we use inversion is after only plus time expression. Like in the sentence that you saw about Dickens, only later did Dickens produce full novels. Or another one, you also have seen it, only with a great deal of effort was he able to escape. Only if requires inversion in the main clause. At no time and under no circumstances also require inversion. Not only, not since, not a single stone was left unturned. No sooner than. This is pretty much it about the first type of inversion, in which situations we need to change places, to change the word order, to put the auxiliary verb before the subject. Okay, very well. Just bear with me a little longer because there is the last piece of information left here, and then we move on to practice. And practice is the most interesting part, and that's when we are going to check what you have understood and if this material was easy or not for you. Subject verb inversion is very easy. Here lies, look at the example, here lies the body of our late lamented sovereign. Or then came the turning point in the game. This type of inversion is type 2. There is a misprint on this slide. That's when we exchange places between, we swap main verb and the subject. When the main verb goes first and then goes the subject. Here lies the body of our late lamented sovereign. All right. Practice time. Good. Now I need everybody's attention and participation. Let us vote. Look at sentence 1. Mrs. Sugden meant no harm to anyone, but neither she had, neither had she had neither the intelligence to be really kind. Миссис Сагден не желала никому зла, но также у нее не было достаточно ума для того, чтобы быть доброй или для того, чтобы проявить доброту. I'm waiting for your answers in chat just about number 1. A, B, or C. And I see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people have voted, and all of you have voted correctly. Great job. Congratulations. Super. Lovely. Let's now read number 2, and you also are asked to vote. There were 3 of them. Roberta, she was always called Bobby and was the oldest. Peter next came next Peter, or next came Peter, who wanted to be an engineer when he grew up. And the youngest was Phyllis, who was always trying to blah, 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 blah. Once again, look at the second sentence in this small extract and choose A, B, or C in the sentence. Peter next came next Peter, or next came Peter, who wanted to be an engineer when he grew up. Which would be correct to say here? A little bit more time. Whoa, so many answers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Out of 20 answers, out of more than 20 answers, the majority of you, the utmost majority of you are correct. The correct answer is C. Next came Peter. This is the second type of inversion when first we put, by the way, what do we put in this example in sentence 2 before the main verb, or before the subject? What goes before the subject in the sentence, in the second sentence? In the phrase, next came Peter. Yes, absolutely correct. This is the main verb, came. Yes, great. This is the second type of inversion. Lovely, good. That has been quite easy for you. Let's check some more sentences and your understanding there. Well, come on, I want to see some mistakes. I'm the teacher, I'm used to seeing mistakes. Let's see, maybe you will fail a little bit here because it's a little bit more difficult. The task is to identify the mistake in sentence on the slide. The number of the sentence is 1. Little we knew about Corona in 2018. Here, I'm afraid you have to type a little bit more. Basically, the full sentence would be very nice to see from you in the chat. Come on, guys, show how well you learned today. Okay. All right, lovely. I can see a correct sentence from Vasilisa. We knew little about Corona in 2019. However, Vasilisa, this is absolutely correct. But what if I want to invert this sentence? How would it sound? Think about this. And the correct sentence is, little did we know about Corona in 2018. Congratulations, the majority have given correct answers. You're amazing, guys. I feel that there is nothing to explain here. Or did you start this before? I thought this is going to be something new for you. Well, I hope it is still new because I can see some mistakes. There is a sentence, there is a suggestion, and I want to comment on it because grammatically it is kind of okay, but I will explain why it's not okay. Little knew we. The first thing that captures my attention here is that doesn't sound English. Little knew we. It's even difficult to pronounce. But this is a very good analytical thinking, Nastya, Anastasia. I can see why you have made it in such a way. This is the first type of inversion. After the adverb little, we need to use auxiliary verb. This is the first, again, this is the first type of inversion when we invert auxiliary and the subject. So we have to say little did we know. Little knew we only works, such type of inversion only works in prepositional phrases. For example, in the corner. Oh, that's, by the way, the next sentence. Just a moment. Oh. Sorry, I'm sometimes too much in a hurry. How about this one? This is exactly where you can do this. Over in the corner, the 3-meter tall statue of Lenin stood. What is wrong with the inversion here? It is, by the way, absent. How can we fix this sentence? Your answers in the chat. Don't forget to type the full sentences, or at least the verb and the subject and the verb. I don't know. I'm not gonna hint. Over in the corner, the 3-meter tall statue of Lenin stood. Oh, thank you for saying that it's new and interesting. That makes me feel so nice. I can see more mistakes here. That makes my teacher, my inner teacher, a little bit happier, because mistakes are to be corrected, and that's what teachers do in their job. Okay. No. Yes. Vera, you have a very correct sentence, an absolutely correct one. The correct sentence here would be, over in the corner stood the 3-meter tall statue of Lenin. Why? You can ask me. Because this is the second type of inversion. When we put the main verb in front of the subject without changing it. Why? Because what we have in this sentence at the very front of the sentence here is the prepositional phrase, a phrase with a preposition, over in the corner. I hope that explains it. Or you can just develop your linguistic intuition. Because if you say, over in the corner did the 3-meter tall statue of Lenin stand, doesn't sound well, does it? I mean, doesn't sound good, does it? Okay, let's do one more and see. So the correct one, once again, I will read because I can see a lot of mistakes here actually. The correct option would be, the correct variant, the correct sentence would be, over in the corner stood the 3-meter tall statue of Lenin. The second type inversion. Let's try one more. This I showed in examples. And if you remember it very well, then remember that you need to type the full sentence in the answers. Only after climbing onto the roof, he managed to escape from the rising flood waters. I know that it is quite a long sentence, so feel free, take your time to type the complete sentence, or at least type the verb and the subject, or the subject and the verb, depending on how you feel. All right, we have the first answer from Varvara. And from Елизавета. One of the answers is correct. I will not tell you which specifically, not yet. Vera, thank you for your option. And the correct answer is, Nastya, yes. Only after climbing onto the roof did he manage to escape from the rising flood waters, because it is the first type of inversion. We do not have any prepositional phrase at the front of the sentence. What we have here is a limiting adverb, and that is how we know that it should be the first type of inversion. Only after doing something did he manage to escape from the rising flood waters. Okay, lovely. I think that was the last slide that I have prepared for you today, and the last sentence that to test your understanding today. We have some time left, not much. If you have any questions for us or about inversion, about the university, and about our department, feel free to type your answers, to type your questions or comments in chat, and we will do our best to answer your questions. All right. If there is anything that is not clear about inversion, I'm quite happy to repeat. Do not hesitate to ask. Maybe somebody wants to say something. If yes, you can raise your hand digitally or just maybe say something. Did you enjoy the topic today, or was it a little boring for you? Because our next topic is going to be, I mean, in the second cycle, the talk that I'm doing about grammar, as far as I remember, is the Museum of Prepositions, and it's going to be a little bit more accessible, a little bit more engaging. Thank you, Елизавета. I hope you did get some new information today. Thank you so much. How did you learn English pronunciation? I just, like everybody, probably at the university, and then I worked a little for a short period of time in the United States, which gave me a Midwestern pronunciation, and later on people thought I was from Kansas or was like Ellie in this The Wizard of Oz. But then the language department at Miss C sent the teachers, a group of teachers, to Cambridge to study at summer schools. And that is like when you're grabbing different pronunciation features, and I still keep changing my pronunciation every time. And I watch a lot in English on at different resources. Okay, how many? The lesson was fantastic, thank you. Not convenient to chat and watch the screen at the same time. Okay, we will take this into account. Thank you for telling us, Diana. Really interesting. Thank you. How many types does inversion have? Inversion has two types. The first one is when we place auxiliary verb before the subject, little did we know. And the second type, when we put the main verb before the subject. For example, next comes Alex. Okay. I was scared. Olga, I'm very sorry you were scared. Don't be scared. We're super friendly here. Okay, it's very interesting. Thank you. Well, okay, lovely. Somebody is already insisting on us to finish the talk and is trying to write end over my slides, which is, I'm not sure is super respectful, but all right, let's have some fun. Let's draw something over this inversion slides. Okay, I'm telling you, I'm saying goodbye. Thank you very much for spending this evening with us. I hope you did get important information today, which you will use in your real life. Do come back. The next talk is by Femi and Irina, and it's going to be super interesting. So do join us in a week. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Kisses and hugs. Bye-bye. Good night.